5280 Sports Network, your morning minute on a Thursday. Nate Lundy, Sean Drotar with you. Broncos Bucs coming up on Sunday. And Sean, this is an interesting matchup because as much as with Cincinnati, you would have wanted to slow down the passing game, allow them to do some things on the ground with Jeremy Hill and try to take A.J. Green out of the game. Tampa presents a different challenge with their receivers.
A different challenge and maybe even a more dangerous one for the Broncos. Now, A.J. Green is an elite receiver. I'd say he's probably right behind Antonio Brown. So they don't have an A.J. Green, but Mike Evans is awfully good as well. The difference is they have a guy on the other side, and that's Vincent Jackson, the former UNC Bear, who's made an entire career being a perfect red zone target. At 6'5", getting up in the air and going in and plucking those passes down. Mike Evans is 6'4". These are two big guys, big targets. If the Bucs get down into the red zone against the Denver Broncos, they have something that the Broncos simply can't compete with, and that's height.
Yeah, you've got a challenge there in that between the 20s, the no-fly zone, obviously very effective. They know how to time the routes. They know how to do the coverage. But when you get into the red zone, if it's a jump ball situation, now you've got to hope that those guys can actually get airborne to be able to knock the ball away, things like that. Presents a very different challenge in the red zone with a team like Tampa than it does between the 20s. The other interesting thing when we talk about Cincinnati compared to Tampa this upcoming weekend, the Broncos were willing to give up some of those yards on the ground to a guy like Jeremy Hill because they were focused on taking away the passing game. Now, if we look at Tampa, you might be willing to give up some of those yards on the ground, but Charles Sims is a different back than Jeremy Hill.
Yeah, certainly not a power back, and they'd be much more dangerous if Tampa had Doug Martin, who will most likely not play this game with an injury. But Charles Sims is more of a speed guy. He's a guy that gets on the outside. He catches passes. It allows them to make their offense more versatile. They're not better without Doug Martin, certainly, but they're also not ineffective. It's a different setup. You can't exactly approach them the same way they approach the Bengals because they're not going to use Charles Sims up the middle. You can't necessarily bring all the linebackers in and change the way that they play defense there. So it's a different approach. And I would argue, as strange as it sounds, the Bengals are a better team. The Bengals may even have a more explosive offense. But when it comes to matching up against the Denver Broncos, the Bucs actually present a little more of a danger.
All right, Sean and I will continue to get you ready for the game, especially on a Football Friday coming up tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. on Mile High Sports Radio, AM 1340, FM 1047. You'll also have the chance to keep up with the columns that are posted up at 5280sportsnetwork.com. Jake Marsing keeping you up to date on what's happening out at Dove Valley this week. Also, some posts happening with our Denver Nuggets as well as they are getting back to work in Omaha. So all of that, 5280sportsnetwork.com. For Sean, I'm Nate. This is your Morning Minute. We'll see you.